Welcome, my name is Colton Jacobson, and today we're going to be doing a frame-by-frame analysis of the Sonic the Hedgehog movie trailer that just came out yesterday, April 30th, and I'm not going to watch the trailer in full, at full speed. I'm assuming if you're watching this, you've already seen the trailer 121 times, as I have. If you have not, I suggest you go and watch that first. Otherwise, this will make a little less sense. It's not a terrible trailer, so I would recommend watching it anyway. And I think we're just going to start. Obviously, we'll start on the title, which is the first part of the trailer. There's not really much to say about it, so I'm just going to go through this really quick. It just says Sonic, and if you look in the C, it is the classic Sonic hair, and then it says the Hedgehog, because it's Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie. And it says trailer starts now, which is sort of a nod to classic arcade games, or just the Sonic games themselves, where it says press any button to start, or insert a coin to start on the bottom. So we're going to move on a little bit past that. And right away, the first thing we see, which I feel like is the first thing everybody saw, even if you only watched the trailer once, is the sign right here that says Green Hills. And then it pops up again on the police car right here. Obviously, it is a nod to the Green Hill Zone in the Sonic games, and I'm not going to dwell on it too much because I feel like that's something that most people caught. It was pretty plain and obvious. They weren't trying to hide it or make it like a, haha, you found it. So we're going to move a little forward, and the first thing we see here is Sonic run past the sheriff's car. Now, we go a little past, and it says it clocks Sonic's speed at 760 miles an hour, which, if you follow along with Sonic game canon, I believe his top speed is 767. Don't quote me on that. If you follow the comics or anything else, he tends to go a little faster. But according to the games, that is about where Sonic tops out. So that's a little interesting thing that they put in there. But what I notice here is then the police officer sitting in the car is a little confused by his scanner clocking 760. As you can see, he like taps it. He's like, I think something's wrong with that. And it's strange to me that that's what he's worried about, is his scanner malfunctioning, because Sonic did just run past him. So, I mean, the scanner's working fine. Yeah, I'd be a little confused if it says 760 miles an hour, but I would be a little less confused why it says 670 miles per hour, and a little more concerned about the blue streak that just flew past my car. There's no way he missed it. I feel like even if he wasn't paying attention, which he should be, because he's got his scanner up, so obviously he's trying to catch people speeding. But even if he wasn't paying attention, that's something that you would feel if something that fast flies past your car. But you can see he in a confused look, is looking off to his right. Continuity-wise, you can see that his door right here is open, which, if we go back just a little bit, let's see if we can get this playing here. His door is open right here, but that is to his left. So Sonic zooms past on the left of his car. And once we get into the car, he taps the scanner and then looks off to the right. So I don't know what he's doing there. So he looks off in the wrong direction. I'm assuming he was meant to look because he saw Sonic run past and he's confused about that, maybe a little worried. Then he does proceed here to go off into a field off the side of the road, and he finds one of Sonic's quills, which I'm not super familiar with hedgehogs, but I don't think that they shed their quills like that. I understand that they can detach their quills from themselves, but I don't think that they shed them like that. And even if they do say I'm completely off base, and they do, and I just know nothing about hedgehogs, which is very possible, I don't see how it would have gotten onto the field on the side of the road. Because Sonic was running on the road, and I don't know why he saw Sonic run on the road. I don't know why he decided to go off to the side of the road to go investigate, but he found Sonic's quill, which is covered in electricity, as you can see. I'm not sure what the electricity signifies. There's a lot of it in this trailer, but as we move on, you have this fun little Paramount with the Sonic rings, which is just I appreciate that. It's their way of saying, hey, this is a comedy movie and we're willing to have fun with it. So I appreciate anytime any logo is changed for a movie trailer or something like that. And then we have the Sega logo, which is nice and polished with the electricity. It looks really good. I don't think there is any reason to make a new logo for this trailer, because this is one that everyone recognizes. Right. So now right here we have just a view. It's a first-person view of Sonic running through the woods. You don't get a really good view. He's going extremely fast, so it's really blurry, even if you go frame by frame. But, you know, obviously that's what they were going for. They wanted to go fast. But it really makes you wonder, is this right here what Sonic is seeing? Because if this is what he's seeing, he should run into a lot more things. Because at least that's what it makes it look like he's seeing. Just because it is a first-person view of him. So we don't gain much from this forest here. So we're going to kind of go forward into his cave, where he goes into it and rolls in and falls down. I'm not sure why there's a stop sign here exactly, but I guess Sonic is just a hoarder, so that's fine, whatever. And then we get into, I mean, this is what makes me think he's a hoarder, is there's just a bunch of crap. Let's be honest, it's crap. And then he falls down onto this cushioning to break his fall and help him bounce off. I'm assuming that's sort of a look at the angled springs in the game that help him like redirect and break his fall and stuff like that. And then we get this nice little view of a bunch of worn out shoes. Now, obviously the shoes, it's because of the friction that he creates when he's running. They weren't meant to deal with that or handle that in any way, so they get run out really fast. Although it looks to me like most of the shoes, which here's an interesting thing, is most of the shoes are worn out at in the sole of the shoe, but at the tip, so not the heel or anything. Just the way that if you were to run on a track or anything like that, you bend down and your heel is up in the air, but the front of your foot is on the ground. That is the part that is worn out, which is interesting to me because on all of the shoes, it looks like that is the heel is always intact on the shoe, and then that's the part that's taped up. So that's just a nice attention to detail, I guess, that they did there. Not sure why he keeps the shoes. Once again, I think that just goes back to he must be a hoarder or something. Not sure where he's getting the shoes either, but I mean, I guess he's fast enough to steal a pair of shoes if he wants it, but I don't think he has enough rings to go around and buy all these shoes. So we can just assume that he's probably stealing them from somewhere. Here we get a shot of him opening up and putting in a cassette tape to play Gangster's Paradise, which is a weird... I'm fine with it in the end. Now here we get the shot of him. Here we go. He's getting all pumped up. He's ready to do what he has to do. And this is where the trailer kind of gets you the first time you're watching it, because he is, he's getting all pumped up and he's getting ready to run to create a sonic boom.
Gotta go fast.
Now, the thing about the sonic boom, we get a nice first-person shot of him running again, actually, before I go into that, which is right here. And once again, this is a lot less blurry when he's running because he's going straight, so I guess it's easier to see this. But it really makes you wonder how he's not tripping up more when he's running. But he runs this, and then he hits, I'm assuming he hits the speed of sound. He breaks the sound barrier, and that's where this sonic boom is coming from. Now, one thing I noticed here is if you look right here, I have to assume, and I could be wrong on this, it could be a completely separate time, but what I think is this sign right here is the Green Hill sign, and this is actually the cop car, which makes me wonder a lot, actually, because if we look at it, let's go back to the front of the trailer here. So here's the Green Hill sign, and then we have the cop car. It's kind of angled off a little bit in this shot, but if we go like this, it doesn't seem so angled. It seems more parallel with the road. That's a shot I can forgive, though, just because of like the angling and stuff like that. But what if you notice here, Sonic is actually running from down here, and he's going in this direction. You can tell because this is the front of the car right here. And if we go forward, this is the front of the car. So he's running from the bottom to the top there. But if we go ahead and go back to right after the sonic boom, you can notice that he's actually coming from the other direction. So I thought that was a weird, I guess a continuity error. If I'm right and this is the police car and this is the same scene that the cop just experienced, but more from Sonic's point of view, I guess. But that really makes me wonder if this is the same scene this explosion of sound right here that caused this dust wave, none of that affected the cop or the car even a little bit, which is very odd. It would explain why the quill was off in the field, although this doesn't really look like field. It looks more deserty than field. But that's not something that I want to go into. This next part is actually the part that gets me. So if you look at this right here, it looks like, I mean, this is a pretty powerful blast. It completely consumed that car. So if this is the same part as that first part, that is a real issue with continuity. If it's a different thing, that's completely fine. But even though this is a very big wave that's going on, it looks to be mostly dispersed by this point. But we go a couple of frames and we see that he knocks the power out here. And the thing that bothers me is, listen to this right here, when he's talking.
Energy surge knocked down power across the entire Pacific Northwest.
So he said 20 minutes ago, an energy burst knocked out power in the entire Pacific Northwest. Alright, where was I at? Oh, that's right. I was about to review the worst part of the trailer, the part that really, really got me. It really, really bothered me. So, we go, this is where he's doing the run and the sonic boom. We already talked about that. Now, if you listen to this meeting at the Pentagon, he says 20 minutes ago, an energy surge knocked out power to the entire Pacific Northwest. Now, the thing that I don't like, I'm not a big fan about here, is if we look at the sonic boom knocks out the power. And here we have a map of the United States. We go forward a couple of frames, and you'll notice right here is the Pacific Northwest. If we go forward a little bit here, the first area that's actually knocked out is Mexico. As far as I know, Mexico's not part of the Pacific Northwest. I could be wrong, but I don't think it is. So Mexico's the first one to get knocked out. And then this area up here gets knocked out. Alaska, part of Canada, it looks like. I can forgive that. I could take that as the Pacific Northwest. Okay, that's fine. But it doesn't stop there. Then we go forward a couple more frames, and I don't know if you just noticed that. It takes out all of Texas. At this point, half the country is gone. That's more than the Pacific Northwest. But not just that. There's one other thing that you might not have noticed. At the same time that Texas gets knocked out, watch down here. The Caribbean also gets knocked out. And I know for a fact that the Caribbean is not a part of the Pacific Northwest. So I'm a little confused as to why they're worried specifically about the Pacific Northwest, where it affected so obviously more than that. But here's the real kicker. The real thing that gets me, that I don't know if you noticed or not. It's so obvious to me, but it might not click until I point it out. He's running, and he's doing this sonic boom. And it's the middle of the day. It is super bright outside. At latest, it's maybe 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And then when the power gets knocked out, it's night. It is so clearly that shift from day to night. Now, I understand why they did it, is because it makes it easier to see that the power is getting knocked out, because you can't see that during the day as easily. But I mean, look at this. This is the line between the light and the darkness. This is the Pacific Northwest. It has clearly been night for hours. Why are the lights just going out now? That's really the one thing in this trailer that, like, there's continuity errors, there's tiny errors, there's things that they didn't quite pay attention to. But then there's this, and this every time I watch this trailer, it really bothers me. And I honestly don't know what to say about it. It's unforgivable when it comes to, this is the worst continuity error I've seen in a long time. It is. And then it's an easy one to avoid, too. I don't know. But then we get to
20 minutes ago.
the Pentagon scene, where they're talking about what Sonic has done, or presumably Sonic has done. The way that this trailer makes it look is it kind of frames Sonic to be the bad guy at this point, where he's created a problem and the United States government has to fix it. It switches that around very quickly once they introduce Robotnik, but as of right now, it makes it seem like Sonic is the bad guy. Like, what is he doing? Why did he do that? There's not really much to say when it comes to the Pentagon scene.
Across the entire Pacific Northwest.
This right here is the semi-truck that Robotnik comes in. And I don't have a problem with the setup for the military camp. That's fine. There's nothing really to say about that. I'm a real fan of these stairs right here. Not realistic stairs, but I love it. It's just a tiny little detail that makes him, as a person, seem more futuristic, and I love that.
We have no choice.
Of course, I think a lot of people thought that's Dr. Robotnik. I do think Jim Carrey is an odd choice, but I think he'll do great. I think he'll do fine. It'll work out. It's a weird choice, but I think in the end, it's a good choice. They were very, very cognizant of the fact that he does not look like Eggman. As you can see at the end of the trailer, they know that he doesn't, and that will more than likely come into play at some point in the movie. Now here is coming up one of the two jokes that are told in this trailer that you can tell whoever wrote them was trying too hard to connect with a younger audience.
Are you in charge here? Yes, I am.
Nope!
I'm
Wrong. I'm in charge.
Allow me to clarify.
In a sequentially ranked hierarchy based on level of critical importance, the disparity between us is too vast to quantify.
That right there. In a sequentially ranked hierarchy, it's that idea that being smart is funny. It harkens over to what has become of the Big Bang Theory. Just because you say something smart, you assume it's going to get a laugh. And I don't have any issues with the Big Bang Theory. I think it's a fine show. But just it's a cheap form of comedy that I don't think works, and more than anything makes people mad. But that's not even the joke that I was talking about. It's the end of it, the punchline to the joke here. It's all the same joke.
The doctor thinks you're basic.
The doctor thinks you're basic. Now, in my mind, that is the equivalent, that joke is the equivalent of a parent going up to their child, their young teenage child, and saying, "Yo, what's sizzling, home slice?" to try to connect to him, bringing up that 90s slang that hasn't been relevant since... I mean, that stereotype died before the iPod Nano was released. And yet people still... They think it's going to get a cheap laugh. It's funny because it's super stereotyped. And I think that is the equivalent in this joke, that they're like, it's not funny to me, but I think that it's making fun of the younger audience, and because it's making fun of the younger audience, the older audience might think it's funny. I don't know. I don't think it worked. I don't think anybody liked the joke. That's really all I have to say about it. There's really nothing else going on in this military scene, so I think I'm just gonna skip past it.
Basic. Listen, pal, I don't know if you realize
I'm sorry, Major. What was your name?
Benny.
Nobody cares.
Release this November. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. There's nothing to analyze about that. Now, this is the part that a lot of people didn't like. I didn't think it was... Here's one thing that you might not have noticed when watching this trailer, that it is the second on top... not counting the light disparity, the day-to-night power outage. This is the biggest issue I have with the trailer here. Listen to just what he says when he walks in.
SFPD!
He says, SFPD. I don't know what that, I guess, San Francisco Police Department, maybe. But the problem with that is, and I'm sure you've already figured out what the issue with him shouting SFPD as he walked into the building is. He's with the Green Hills Police Department. So he should be saying GHPD, not SFPD. That was just poor script writing, I think. I mean, I can really hearken on the people. I can bash on the people that did the problem with the light outage. But what happened here? What made you think when you were writing that SFPD was the right thing to write? I'm not really understanding what your thought process behind that was. I don't know. That is the next. Those are the two biggest problems I have with this trailer: are the light outage and the, I guess, police department shouting. So we'll move on to the next part of the trailer here. This is close enough. So he says SFPD. Still gets me. Now, I'm not even gonna say. This is the shot right here that has really come out of this trailer. The picture that everyone's using. a picture that a lot of people are mad about. I don't have a problem with it. I think it's fine. Does it look super great? No. But I don't think it's bad enough to complain about it. But, you know, to each their own, I guess. So, I don't know if you heard that. It was kind of poor pause timing on my part. That joke that Sonic makes where he says, meow.
Meow.
That is the closest in this trailer that you get to the classic Sonic quip. You know, Sonic is a naturally sarcastic character, and that's kind of what he's known for. And that's it. That's all you get in this trailer with that. You know, they really missed the punch on that. I guess that and the steps joke are like the two closest things you get to a Sonic quip. And I mean, it's not even a big thing, but I'm also a little disappointed that he's not eating a chili dog. It just, I mean, it's not the end of the world, but I think they missed out on that one.
Oh, come on.
So he shoots him with a tranquilizer, and this next part is a little odd. It goes into the truck scene, and he's tearing through the ditch. I don't understand why he went off road there, because if you look, right here, there's not even anyone chasing him. It doesn't look like, you know. Obviously, in a few seconds there is, but as of right now, there's no one chasing him, and I don't know why he tore through the ditch. It makes no sense to me. I guess he might be swapping roads? I don't know. But then he straightens out, and Sonic is in the seat. I don't know, I thought they missed out. I think it would have been a nice little just attention to detail if Sonic had his seatbelt on. Once again, I'm not even like bagging on the trailer on that one. I just think that would be a nice, funny, and they don't even have to mention it or anything. Just the fact that he's wearing it, I think would be good. But coming up here is another issue I have with the trailer.
It looks like I'm gonna have to save your planet.
So he says, "I'm gonna have to save your planet," and I mean, I don't know where this came from, but I'm not really gonna touch on that. Whatever. It shoots a harpoon-like gun through the back window, and you can see that it's attached to a rope right here. So the harpoon is still attached to the vehicle. But then we go forward in the next scene. There's no rope. The only thing that they got right was, I mean, the window, it looks like it's still broken. So they got that right. But I don't know what happened to the harpoon. This has to be immediately after. So I don't know what would have happened to it. And Sonic jumps out. I don't know how he's jumping. Is he jumping out of the door of the car? Because I don't think there was a sunroof to this truck. So he's got to be jumping out and up. It's a weird angle for him to be coming out of the car. But it's one of those things, too, that, once again, I can play along with it. It's not that big of a deal. Then he jumps into the classic Sonic roll, which is nice to see. That it showed a place in the trailer. And then he knocks the car down. And it slides a little bit. But I don't think it slides as much as it should. And I also don't think it should have stopped on the side of the car. It should have flipped more. Because just the way it lands, you can see that it's completely angled. It's landing right here, and it's super angled. It should tip over. But instead it just slides ever so slightly. It doesn't even... And it could just be the cut in the trailer that makes it look like it doesn't slide that much, but to me, it doesn't seem like it slides that much. So then we have Sonic's classic hubris. Oh, is that all you got?
Is that all you got?
Then he zooms off, and
No.
I don't know if you saw that right here, and it does come up a little later. It looks like the harpoon is not there, and I'll come back to that in a second here.
No.
So we have Dr. Eggman, and this is the controls for his vehicle. You can see it's the big vehicle, and it is offline. And then I like this little tiny attention to detail that they did,
Oh, but thank you for asking.
where he taps it, and it says secret, because he's got the secret vehicle, and then it pops out. It's just a tiny little attention to detail that I appreciate there. So here's what I was talking about here, is you can see where the harpoon hit, it isn't there. It's one thing for them to get rid of the string or the wire that was on the harpoon when it shot through.
It looks like I'm gonna have to save your planet.
It's one thing to get rid of this, but in that shot, you can clearly tell the harpoon is completely gone. Not only that, it looks like there's not even a crack in the window. Like the harpoon was never even shot. Oh, but wait, the back window is still busted out, so obviously it was. So I'm not sure what happened there. That's just a mistake. Then we got another one of Sonic's quills, which doesn't... I mentioned this when he found it in the field. I don't think Sonic sheds his quills like that. And even if he did, this is a weird angle and place for it. Like, it's one thing for it to be on the floor, but stuck into a table or a cabinet. I'm not buying that one. The field I can buy. This one I'm not quite.
This creature is. Our job is to secure it.
So yeah, once again, I mean, we see this and it's zooming into like the San Francisco area. But they clearly said the Pacific Northwest, which I could be wrong. And I know I keep saying that, but I could be wrong. But I thought the Pacific Northwest was like Washington and Oregon, and up in this area, not down here. But I don't know. But he said San Francisco Police Department, which I'm assuming is what SFPD stands for, and they're clearly zooming into California. So they're obviously not in Green Hills like they wanted you to think. I don't know. Okay, so here we actually see they're zooming in Idaho, Montana, so they zoom into Montana, which confuses me even more. I don't know. Maybe there's a place in Montana that's SFPD. I'm not sure, but I'm super convinced that they're not in Green Hills, because otherwise he would have said GHPD when he busted through the door. I think I'm dwelling on that too much. The location's not super important.
See what makes it tick.
So right here, you can see these are the machines that actually come back later in the trailer to surround Sonic on the rooftop. And I thought this was a nice, a funny thing. Just it's from the producer of the movie. You know, it's from the guy who's used to making things go fast. Is what I'm trying to say. It's just a funny little thing. I mean, it's completely irrelevant to everything, but also I think it's a weird thing to throw into it. The two movies aren't related at all, so I don't know. Here we have a look at the classic ring and how it is used as a teleportation device in some of the Sonic games to help him go from place to place. It's a nice little thing. Just on another note for that here is they're clearly falling. They're falling downward, right? And then when they go through the ring, they're actually falling back now, but they don't slow down. They're still falling back at the same speed. They're gonna fly right into that barn. And I mean, if I assume falling off that building, they probably have hit, because it's a tall building, they've probably hit terminal velocity. They're going to terminal velocity smack into that barn. They're still not going to live. It's going to hurt just as bad as hitting the ground. So I don't know what they're planning to do with that. But that's not a trailer problem. That's just a potential movie problem. And then we have this funny joke. Every hero has a Genesis. Ha ha ha, Sega Genesis. Good one. Bringing back more of the 90s references. I don't mind. I think it's fun. If you're going to... You can't just do one 90s reference. I think you gotta just bring back a whole plethora of them. And then it's fun for everyone who was born... I mean, even up until like 2006. Some people might get some of the 90s references. Now here's a weird thing is you can clearly see if I go forward just a little bit here. Oh, I already missed it. My bad. I mean, this obviously takes place in a desert, but then it's coupled by the fact, let me see if I can find it here. If you look, pyramids. He's in Egypt. I mean, these definitely are Egyptian pyramids. I don't know the names of them. It's the 3 Great Pyramids that are right next to each other. What is it? This one is the Pyramid of Giza. I don't even want to take a guess. Is this Khufu? I don't know. Not important. No, my history knowledge of Egyptian pyramids is not what has come into question here. But so he's racing. He's completely run halfway across the planet at this point. So it's very obvious there's going to be a sort of in the Incredibles, how there's that scene where Dash is running away from the robots. I feel like this is going to be a similar thing. We're going to see him running over the ocean potentially, running into a bunch of different scenarios. And that's a fine gag. I mean, it shows it's essentially to show how fast he is, right? Because this is going to take place in the course of 30 seconds, more than likely, in the movie, maybe a minute. So he's running through Egypt, and then suddenly, obviously it's a trailer, but he is on a really tall building, which I'm assuming these two are up here as well. So it just makes me think that this is the same scene. This is going to take place just a little bit after it, where they're falling off, and then Sonic runs down and tries to save them. But so it's weird that, because I feel like this takes place or after this scene, which is a little weird to place it on chronologically in the trailer, but I guess if it works, it works. I'm not going to complain about that. It's a trailer. It doesn't have to make complete sense chronologically. These are the things in his lab that I pointed out that are flying around, and this is the machine that was chasing him through Europe. So that might also be take place immediately after this. He throws the ring and then runs down to Europe to outrun this thing. And here we come to the second joke that I think was probably written as the same guy, by the same guy as the doctor thinks you're basic. I just have to assume.
Yes, I took 9 million steps today.
I took 9 million steps today. I mean, the joke here is obviously it's cultures today have been obsessed with the Fitbit, the amount of steps people are taking. He's obviously not wearing anything there, so I don't know how he's privy to this joke. The doctor thinks you're basic joke is a person living on Earth who thinks he's cool. This is a person who is clearly from a different planet, as they mentioned in the car. I have come to your planet to save it, or I have to save your planet. So I don't know how he's been privied to this Fitbit joke, but that's neither here nor there, is it? Then we got another thing that people have constantly been talking about with this trailer is the Quicksilver scene, where he essentially pauses time because he's going so fast. I don't think Sonic is that fast, where he's moving fast enough that time seems paused. I don't think he's that fast. And also, the thing that gets me is he's not even moving. How did he pause time when he's clearly not even moving? It is the thing that baffles me the most. But then he does this whole scene, which is kind of cool. I always appreciate when things pause and the camera's able to like go around and just like look at things from every angle. And it's not a bad little action scene. And then we have Sonic the Hedgehog.
Stay in there and be quiet.
Now this scene I think is the scene that people probably liked the most about the trailer. And it's a good scene. He's in the bag, and essentially he says things that people don't normally say, and that's why it's funny. I'll just play it here for a minute.
Turn and be quiet. How much longer? I can't breathe in here.
Do you have your child in that bag?
No. I mean, yes, it's a child, but it's not mine.
I don't understand that. Do you have your child in that bag? And he says no. Which is the correct response? He doesn't have his child in that bag. Why would he say yes? So no, yeah, I don't have my child in this bag. And then he says, it is a child. It's just not mine. He can't possibly not understand how that sounds to other people.
I mean, yes, it's a child, but it's not mine.
Why would he say that? He could have just said no and left it at that. And of course, instead of doing anything, they just kind of walk away, you know, as anyone would do.
Smells like body spray and an old ham sandwich.
Now, another thing, it's also it's a small little thing here, but she says, or he says it's hard to, Sonic says it's hard to breathe in here. And she says, do you have your child in that bag? What I don't understand, though, is Sonic does not sound like a child. He is voiced by Ben Schwartz. Ben Schwartz isn't doing a voice, that's his natural voice. And Ben Schwartz sounds like an adult man. He does not sound like a child. So I'll play that again, and just keep in mind that he does not sound even remotely like a kid.
How much longer? I can't breathe in here.
Do you have your child in that bag?
No. I mean, yes, it's a child, but it's not mine. It's not your job.
Smells like body spray and an old ham sandwich.
It clearly sounds like an adult man. So I don't know where they're coming from with that one. A lot of people really liked this scene. This is their favorite scene in the trailer. This one's a real miss for me, I'll be honest. It's once again, it's them, I feel like, trying to be too funny. They said, we can make a joke or we can try to make a really good joke. And this is what they came up with a really good joke. And then there's the sort of bonus scene at the end, I guess. It's not really hidden because it takes place like 2 seconds after the trailer. So we'll take a quick look at that here. Once again, this is Dr. Robotnik's semi-truck. Then we have, it's just his glove. This is a better look at the glove than you get during the rest of the trailer. All these buttons and Who gadgets. They don't really explain what they do, but it's obviously to control his machines and stuff like that. And then you have, I'm not sure what this is, this part of it. I think they were just trying to get a bunch of really quick flashes. I don't think this has any significant importance. I want to say this is just the machines that have been flying around the whole movie. These, right here. And this is just a scene of him controlling them. Because the whole reason, they flash it in and out because they wanted to essentially show the transformation part at the end. Right here. Which I think gave people maybe a little bit of hope when it comes to this movie. That, because at the beginning, he doesn't look at all like Robotnik or at all like you would think, and he's not even wearing the same clothes that Robotnik would wear. But here at the end, he's got the mustache, he's bald, he's got the red jacket. So you can tell they didn't just forego it completely. I don't know if this is something that's going to happen at the end of the movie or if it's going to be like a transformation halfway through. We'll find out. And then it's just the classic, the goggles are broken and he's just like a mad scientist in this mushroom world. And that's the trailer. If you want to see more, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. You can let me know if there's a specific trailer you want me to watch frame by frame. And have a nice day.